Okay, we are once again finishing up Nix Flakes for the Riot stack. We got our updated flake for Riot merged in 6 hours ago. 6 hours ago. And so that means I can finish, hopefully, getting a couple more of these PRs out. So we already have Atacama. So what does that mean? It means we can open up the PR for Trail, which will be good. And then we just have one more. That's our last like dependency, like blocker, right? Before we can open our last two PRs for Nomad and Blink. I'm trying to think of like a good. So I wrote a little example last time, a little example repo, aptly called Nix Riot example. And first of all, we can do a little bit of this. We're happy with that now. GHI Shadow, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, so this one is possibly too simplistic where it doesn't show some of the challenging aspects of working with these flakes, and I'd rather give people an easy model to follow. Specifically what I'm talking about is there are, of course, these transient dependencies that have shared inputs, or yeah, we'll say shared inputs, as in they both are dependent on another transient dependency, similar to Nix packages here, and we have to make sure that we follow everything. This is asking a lot of anybody wanting to use this. And this is where an overlay probably would save the user some time and some mental effort knowing when to use this. I just have to think about it, like how this should actually work. I mean, at this point, it is what it is. Like, if we want to make your mobile in the boonies at a creek, that sounds awesome, though, Purplish. I mean, it sounds nice. 1 bar issue, no worries. Yeah. Okay, anyway, let's just do what we know we need to do, which is open up our trail PR. So that's going to be in Surrey trail. We're getting there. There we go. Should be our only difference. Everything else about trail looks good. Let me just double check. Trail hasn't had anything new lately. Last week. Should be good. That was 001. Okay. Pretty sure I already pulled that change. Let's just commit this real quick. Add Nix Flake to trail. Okay. That's what I could have done fetch origin and found out the same information, but that's okay. Get Coco. Get Nix. 2 and 1 different commits each respectively. Sure, but we should just have one actual. Yeah, okay. So we'll just do a force push on Nix, make sure that our flake is building, and we'll go from there. Okay. What else do we need to do? Okay, our Nix build worked. Everything's happy. Ah, right. Naturally. So we'll just do this one more time. And we'll go into trail. Add Nix Flake. Yep. That looks great. That looks good. This is correct. Mm-hmm. That was our HTTP fix for here, I'm guessing. Yes, health.packages.http. Okay. So all that looks good. So I think this is good. Pull request number 1 opened. And now that that's open, well, now that that's open, that doesn't really change much in the sense that I still have to wait for that to go through to do no bend and blink. So there's not really a point in changing those yet. We'll just do that once trail gets merged. So this looks great. I think where we were at for our contributing guide. Right, I remember why this was annoying. But it shouldn't really matter now. Oh, right. Now that we have that merged, we can go back to our contrib guide branch and we can rebase. Yay. Okay, looks good. And then Nix Riot example has all this stuff. Oh, I already updated the input. Wow. I'm so quick. I do things that I don't even know I did. I impress myself all the time. Okay. We'll let that run. Okay, so let's go ahead. You know, I was thinking of writing a README, but maybe it's actually better to just add a lot of comments to the actual flake. I mean, we might want to create a README as well, but adding a bunch of comments to the actual flake is possibly better. So maybe that's what we need to do. Okay. So let's see. We'll just say it's unlikely you'll need changes. We'll just say it's unlikely dev shells will need changes. Shells will need changes. Okay, make sure inputs from equals self.packages.default. Let's see, we'll just say this brings all build inputs, all the propagated build inputs below into the shell. Okay. And okay. This brings all the propagated input build inputs from the package. I don't know. Maybe that's clear enough. Build inputs with OCaml packages. Sure. Doing 3, OCaml, utop, OCaml format. This is where build inputs defines other, defines packages you need at dev time, not build time. How about that? Appergra, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Let's see. So maybe just adds is better than this brings. Adds all the propagated build inputs below. Into the shell. Yeah. Build inputs defines packages you need at dev time, not build time. So that's why I have Dune 3, OCaml, utop, OCaml format. And then for packages, we have this in our dev shell. I actually don't know how to describe packages very well. Like, let me think of how, like, what's the difference? Built-ins, .attrib values, inherit, sure. I'm not exactly sure how to define that. I could look it up in the Flake parts, I guess. Let's see. Packages. Okay. Right. Unless this is a monorepo, there's only a single package named default. Okay. Build Doom package, inherit version, p9 equals Nix Riot example. I'm actually thinking I like the idea of just changing this to be version equals dev here, because I think it's less, it's like better locality basically. Like we don't need the version in the above. It can just be here. And I kind of hate some of this. Like we could make this even simpler up here by saying OCaml packages dot build Dune package, and then we can get rid of this line. In this case, for a single package, it doesn't really matter that much to do this. Okay. This looks good. Propagated build inputs with OCaml packages. Now, since I don't have any other Dune project dependencies, again, this is kind of like a not great example. I'm trying to think if there's a better example I could use. I would basically have to write one, which I didn't really feel like doing. let's see. What's some basic stuff I could include in my Dune project that like doesn't really matter if it's there. That could be worth it. Yeah. So we might just define an extra input just to show an example and add some dependencies to Dune project that we don't actually need. Just also for the sake of the example. So let me just think here for a second what that could look like. Like eventually we could make this a lot better. Okay. So even though we don't need some of these things, maybe it's worth it to use them anyway. So let me just think about this. Telemetry is not a bad idea. I wish we had like a nice trail example already built, or maybe Nomad. Is there? No, there is. This actually might be a good way. See, this is pre-processed PPS byte string, libraries trail. Sure. Open trail, open riot. I mean, the thing is that you don't have to directly depend on Riot if you're already bringing it in via trail. Oh, John, I totally missed your chat. I don't know if you're still there, but you said you still don't fully understand what Riot's supposed to do. I can explain that if you want, in my own way. Okay, let endpoint equals, sure. I mean, I don't think this adds too much that's actually interesting, unfortunately. Let's look at other examples. So this is the only example in trail. What about a nomad? This just depends on trail. Hey, Gwent, what's up? Okay. Yeah, I don't know if this really helps me all that much either. I'm thinking of just grabbing a couple things that aren't like 100% necessary just for the sake of the example. So this might be like, maybe telemetry is a good choice. That's kind of what I was thinking of before. If I bring in telemetry, Yeah, I think this might be actually what I want to do. We'll just do this. Call time. What's up, Ninja? Camel time. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. I thought you just came into the stream to say, actually, I'm leaving to take a call, which is fine. I appreciate that you're here. But it would be funny. Okay, so let's just use like telemetry just as an example. Light week, that's nice. And telemetry doesn't really have any transient dependencies, which is one of the reasons that it's kind of nice. And then we'll put this here with a comment that says to ensure there aren't package collisions, version collisions, any other transient deps you specify, any other inputs. How am I going to say this simple? To ensure there aren't any package version collisions. I think that's fine language. Any shared inputs should use follows. In this case, Riot depends on telemetry, and this project depends on telemetry. So the line below tells Riot to use the same version SHA for telemetry as this project. Maybe this doesn't have to be a new line. No, I like it better as a new line. Just kidding. To ensure there aren't any package version collisions, any shared inputs should use follows. In this case, Riot depends on telemetry, and this project depends on telemetry. The line below tells Riot to use the same version SHA for telemetry as this project. This does require looking at the inputs section of the input section of the flake for any transient. Okay, the input section of the flake for your inputs. It does require looking at the input section of the flake for each input. Now, there are exceptions to this. I don't love that language. It's not very clear. This does require looking at the input section of the flake for each input. We'll just put a, since I'm not being very clear, I'm just going to put an example. For example, we see telemetry is an input of Riot, and at, let's just get the flake URL. Ba, 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 ba. This looks good here. Okay, this is actually could be better. Okay, any shared inputs should use follows. This does require looking at the input section of the flake for each input, e.g. we see telemetry. Okay, we don't need we see. Telemetry is an input of Riot. We don't need that. Blob main flake Nix cell 44. In this case, Riot depends on telemetry, and this project depends on telemetry. The line below tells Riot to use the same version SHA for telemetry as this project. Okay, verbose, but at least clear. One second. Okay, looks like I actually have a little bit more time than I thought I was going to, so that's cool. Might not have to end in 20 minutes. Okay, so we've specified Riot here. We could specify a specific SHA if we really want to. There are several ways of specifying a URL. That's not true. There are several valid URLs for an input. The root of Riot, the root of the repo will take latest if no lock file. We'll take latest on first build. Okay. Latest, yeah. Tip on first build of main on first build. I think that's good. Then we're going to say something like this, and I'm just going to use something like this, which is exactly what it is on mine. And we'll say a local path of the cloned repo. And let's do one here. Kind of like the single hash in this case. And this would be GitHub RiotML riot slash, and then we can do a SHA or a tag. So let's say we want riot at 009. It literally is 0.0.9, 0.0.9. Okay, pretty sure this works normally, but we can test it out. Tag or SHA specified. Yeah. I guess we'll just, we're making this long anyway, so we might as well just keep going. SHA. Okay. And local path of the cloned repo. This looks good. I like this. Let's give it some space here. Same here. Specify any transient dependencies. Deps not in Nix packages that have Nix Flakes. Okay. I like this. To ensure there aren't package version. Ensure all inputs use same version of Nix packages. Explained more. Okay. This is fine. So maybe that's actually a nice, easier way of saying it. Ensure any shared inputs use same version. Use same version. Yeah. I think this is good. Okay, I like this. I think this is great. Okay, so all of this shouldn't need changes from here. Shouldn't need changes in the next 8 lines. Okay. It's unlikely dev shells will need changes. Dev shells adds all the propagated build inputs below into the shell. This is correct. Inputs.riot.packages.default. I'll put inputs.telemetry.packages.default. I don't think this will break if I specify inputs that I don't actually need. We'll see what happens. I mean, we could just make really stupid software that adds a bunch of uses for all these things, but we'll just see. It's getting there. I lost where I was. Sorry, got distracted. Okay. All right, so our Nix build worked. Yay. Everything's working like we think it should. Okay, so even though I don't actually use telemetry, it doesn't really matter. This is more about like what I'm specifying. But I will add it to my Dune project just to make the example make more sense. I actually don't even I don't even have Riot in here. It's really funny. It's one of the interesting things coming to OCaml from other ecosystems is that we're not used to the whole idea that you would like not have dependencies specified in like your project file, right? And that's because of the decoupling of the package installer and the build tool, right? Between OPAM and Dune. And so it's just really weird that you can build a project successfully without actually having all of the dependencies listed here. Now you have to have them listed in your Dune file, right? But it doesn't mean that they all have to be listed here. And that part's a little confusing for sure. Okay, so we're just gonna do this. Depends, OCaml, Dune. Wow, why do I have such bad IntelliSense formatting on here? Oh, it's just using a fundamental. It's not using any special mode. Interesting. TK-Panday. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome. Okay. So we'll just specify OCaml with a little greater than or equal to 5.1. And then we have OCaml, we have Dune, and then let's do our Riot. Riot greater than or equal to, we'll just say 009. And then telemetry, we'll just say greater than or equal to 001. And then let's specify one more non-transient dependency. ODoc's a good example. Okay, we'll do ODoc. ODoc and with doc greater than or equal to 2.2.2. I'm just copying that from Riot. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Besides that the indentation is effed. Other than that, it looks fine. But yeah. Okay, so this is fine, and if we did a Dune build, I'm gonna guess that this works just fine, even though we're not using any of these dependencies. It is what it is. I'm a little bit surprised that it, I guess because I'm not actually using ODoc, it didn't actually fail. It's the problem with this with using kind of a fake example. But oh well. We'll just keep going with it. So ODoc is here. Since ODoc is in Nix packages dot OCaml packages, ODoc is in Nix packages dot OCaml packages. So is okay. Using, there we go. Using the ODoc from Nix packages dot OCaml packages. Most of the time, deps will be in OCaml packages and use the same name as they do in opam Dune project. Okay. I think that's pretty good. I think actually e.g. using the ODoc, using ODoc doesn't need to be ODoc, using ODoc from Nix packages dot OCaml packages. I think this is pretty good. I mean, if someone's new to Nix, some of this will still be very, very confusing, right? No versions are specified. The version fetched and built is based on the version of Nix packages specified above. No versions are specified. The version fetched built is based on the version of Nix packages fetched specified above. Okay, I'm just gonna put this in here as well. Let's see. If we go back to just search without anything, and we say ODoc, it's like the first thing that comes up. Okay. And I think search.nixos.org also just goes to /packages, right? Okay. So in that case, you can search on to find the current version of Nix packages. The current version of ODoc in Nix packages with OCaml using query. Okay. You can search on to find the current version of ODoc, use query OCaml packages.odoc. Guessing most people don't have their things set to the ridiculous column width that I do. To find the current version of ODoc, okay. To find the version of ODoc in Nix packages, use query OCaml packages.odoc. And that would work like this. And we see that it's actually version 221, which is actually different than what we even specified. That's really funny and terrible all at the same time. Okay, this looks fine. Okay. for transient dependencies specified in input above. For transient dependencies, okay, let's see. For inputs, there we go. For inputs specified above, and then for deps in OCaml packages. For deps in OCaml packages. The typical case. Use the same name as an opam Dune project. No versions are specified. The version fetched built is based on the version of Nix packages specified above. You can search. Okay. I guess this is where periods kind of help. And maybe capitalization actually does matter. I'm just hating the way that this is reading. Okay. Sure. Sure. And I think this is kind of obvious. Find the version of ODoc and Nix packages, use query OCaml packages, .odoc. Okay, so then we know explaining how to use that. Pname. This needs to match the name of your project in Dune project. Yep. How about that? I mean, I guess what it really needs to, I guess it should be called package. Okay. This needs to match the package name in Dune project. Now, the Riot Flake is a good example of how to build. Oh, wait, it's not anymore. What's a good example of a monorepo? I guess the Mint. It's kind of annoying, though. I don't know if I have any good examples of monorepos anymore. I'm trying to think. The Mint Flake, I guess. What else do I have that's a monorepo? Nix Riot. Sorry, Atacama. Oh, Saturday. Saturday would be a great example, actually. Saturday is a good example. I don't think that flake is that complicated. It has a lot of inputs, so it doesn't even have that many inputs. I mean, this is really nice, actually. I haven't added all the dev shell stuff to Saturday. Oh well. We'll get there eventually. Yeah. So this is actually a great example of a monorepo. There's only a single package named default. The Saturday flake is a good example of how to set up a monorepo. How to build. Of course, that just fucked my pasteboard. Yeah. Okay. I like this. This looks pretty good. Needs to match the package name and Dune project. P name equals Nix Riot example. Propagated build inputs equals with the OCaml packages. Yeah, yep. I think this might be done. This won't change. We won't even specify that. I think it's fine. Exactly like it is. Yeah, I think this is fine. Is there anything else that's not really explained? I think this is explained fairly well. Like, it doesn't mean that somebody completely new to Nix is going to understand it, but hopefully they will. Hopefully it's pretty good. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the point, is that somebody completely new to Nix could understand it. Let's just make sure that it still builds as is. Okay, cool. That looks good. This builds. Let me commit this. I don't think I have anything yet. CM init commit. Oh yeah, I don't even have anything anywhere to push it. I just remembered. Huh. That's fine. Okay, now I just want to test some of this to make sure that I didn't make a syntax error. Like, this should work. Why am I not hitting this right? Sometimes muscle memory makes things worse. Just saying. Syntax error. Oh, I forgot semicolons. I'm glad I did this. Classic forgetting semicolons. Nice. I know my local works the way that I specified it. Oh, I don't know about package byte string. Oh, crap. Because of the way this works. Because of the changes in Riot. Because we went from a non-mono repo to a mono repo. And it's not actually updated correctly. Okay, we'll just use a different example. Let's see. What about telemetry at 001? We could just use it. No, that doesn't help. I'm annoyed, and I'm almost just gonna say, oh well, and it's fine that it doesn't work. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's an earlier version that this actually would work with. I'm pretty sure 008 wasn't. I didn't have the flake in for 008. I'm thinking of just letting that be what it is. And then for the actual SHA one, we'll just take the latest SHA because I know that will actually work. I'll just say, note, this tag's build is broken, by the way. Note, this example sucks because we haven't had flakes in these projects long enough to actually show you how this is supposed to work. All right, we'll do this one. This one should work. Fingers crossed. In the meantime, let's create a GitHub thing. New repo for this. Create new repository. I forget. I think I usually just do this. Yeah, this is if you want to import it from a different place. That's what I thought. Let's see. What is this actually called? Nix Riot example. Nix Riot example. Sure. Example of using Nix with Riot with OCaml's Riot actor framework. Sure, we'll call it a concurrency framework. Public is correct. We don't want you to add a README file because I just want this to work. And wrong place. Now you want this one. Git remote add origin. Git push. Okay. I don't care about the changes actually, so we'll just reset hard. And you will be back here. Oh yeah, but this doesn't have my changes to the with the semicolons. Classic me. Let's just fix that real quick. Okay. One more Nix build for good luck. Let's just do, oh, you can't undo, I forgot. Can't undo because that was my very first commit. So my commit history is already screwed up. Very sad. Very sad. That's okay. We'll just add semicolons. Okay, and then we just need a link. Now we have the repo created. We can link it in our contributing guide. And Riot contributing. Installing from sources, opam, nix. Or if you're using dir env, simply run. An example repo for creating new projects using Riot and Nix. An example repo intended for Nix for those new to Nix. An example repo, let's do it this way. Example repo for creating new projects using Riot and Nix intended for those new to Nix can be found here. Okay, looks good. Okay, so we've got that. We do need to still actually create a README for this. I kind of forgot about that. Let's just touch README MD, and we'll work on that. Nix Riot example. This is a working example repo that demonstrates how to use Nix and Riot along with any other transient dependencies, along with any other dependency, I'll say OCaml dependencies that aren't in Nix packages. Okay. Most of the documentation is found in, okay. I don't know about most. Documentation, we'll just say most. It's fine. The documentation. Okay, that's fine. The documentation is found in the comments of the flake. I forget how this works. I think it goes something like this. Is that right? Flake.nix. I think that's how that works. Local link, relative link in Markdown. I think this might even let me do it. No, it does. Look at that. Look at that Emacs W. You're in a README file. You want to go to the file. You just click it. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about it at all. All right. We're so good at this. Except they deleted a period. It's the only part that we're not that great at. Okay. Add README. We'll pretend that the semicolon change doesn't matter. And fix something. All right. Looks good. And this should just bring us right to the flake. Beautiful. Yeah, this looks great. I'm happy with this. Sweet. So now, what are flakes? What's up, Car? Are you familiar with Nix at all? It's a Nix thing. You know of Nix. So, yeah, I am admittedly kind of a noob to Nix, like a couple months in. I don't remember. When did we start? January? Maybe it's been since January. I can't remember. So I probably won't have the best explanation of that. But essentially there was like flakes are like a new thing in Nix, relatively new. And a lot of people have said it's fractured the ecosystem, stuff we hear all the time about all sorts of technologies, right? But basically flakes are a potentially they're supposed to be a simpler way to express like derivations for Nix, right? So to express like that we want to build something or whatever it is, right? And that's why people usually use flakes. Okay, cool. See you, Emma. So yeah, that's so like the permissions, no, like you can do anything. I could be wrong, but the way I think about it is you can kind of do anything in a flake that you can do with Nix. That's one way I would describe it. So a flake is like kind of like a new syntax, if you will, and a like new tools as well added to the Nix package manager, right? And added to the Nix system in order to build things. So it probably you probably can't do anything that you would want. Okay, I don't actually know how to answer this question. I don't know how to answer it. I finished what I was gonna do, so we can go here. Okay, here we go. Let's read this. It's hilarious. Been doing this for months. What is a Nix Flake? I don't know how to answer that question. Nix Flakes is an experimental feature of the Nix package manager. Flakes was introduced with Nix 2.4. So yeah, experimental feature. Let's see how long this has been. 2021. Okay, that's how long the experiment's been going. Provide a standard way to write Nix expressions and therefore packages whose dependencies are version pinned in a lock file, improving reproducibility of Nix installations. Okay, that makes sense because when you have a flake file, it generates a lock file based on that build. So I didn't know that was like somewhat unique to flakes versus like the normal Nix stuff. The experimental Nix CLI lets you evaluate or build an expression contained within a flake, install a derivation from a flake into a user environment, and operate on flake outputs much like the original Nix commands would. Okay, cool. I was mostly right. So it's kind of like a more standardized way, and it's almost like an abstraction in some ways over a normal Nix file, except it also generates the lock file. But it creates, I mean, it requires that you use different tools. I mean, we can actually just call Nix build as long as flakes are enabled, and it works on the flake. But there's also like different things like Nix Flake commands, you know, in the Nix CLI. So yeah, good question. We might as well have figured that out. Okay, so now I actually have one more PR to Riot for the contrib file. So let's make sure that that is all the way up to date as well. Let's see. It's not. Okay, let's see if I've added any commits to this. I did a whip. Okay, so let's undo that whip. And then this should just be this entire thing. Okay. Okay. This looks great. I mean, we could put some of this stuff in our README under Nix Riot example for like how to actually use the flake. But I'll do that another time. Okay. Chore Nix add Nix section to contrib. And I'll just say contrib guide. There we go. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, Nix can be compared to Docker. You can actually use them together. But yeah, Nix can replace a lot of use cases that Docker has. Like having a build system, being able to build kind of anything, being able to build it for different systems than even the one that you're on sometimes. All those kinds of things. This looks good. Chore Nix, add Nix section to contrib guide, and we have it here. That looks good. Let's just look at our preview. OPAM. So there are some organizations that just use Nix to build all their stuff, and then they don't even use a Docker file at all. Like they don't use Docker at all. And then there's actually plugins or different ways in Nix. I haven't actually done this yet myself. I'm planning on it soon to create like a Docker file automatically from your Nix build, but you're still using Nix to build. And the reason that's good is because Nix is far more accurate and reproducible than Docker is, right? Like a good example is like literally just happened to me last week. Docker, there was like an old image that I hadn't built forever for work, and it was using an old version of Debian that's like on LTS, and basically it was to build some Python stuff, which I don't usually do. I actually write Clojure mostly at work, but and the build failed, even though the same build worked totally fine a year ago. And it was just because everything is still not reproducible. It's still not built. It's not based on like, I know the state of everything and therefore I know I can build all of this. It's still based on like, well, I don't know if this operating system is going to support it. And I don't know if pips changed, and we're still just grabbing all these things from all these different places that we have no control over. And Nix doesn't do that for the most part. And that's where Nix packages comes in, which is literally a repo of like all of these. Now there are ways you could like kind of screw it up, but mostly not. I believe they check everything with like checksums and stuff like that to make sure that it didn't actually change the source underneath. So anyway, yeah, it's just far more reproducible than Docker, but you can actually use them together. The other really nice thing about Nix is the dev shell perspective. So like, for instance, oh yeah, right. So it'd be similar to that, right? Let's see. Why isn't this? Oh, that's because I'm in Riot. I was thinking I was in my Nix Riot example. So like, you'll see this little nice printout here that Starship gives me telling me that I'm in a Nix shell right now. And so right now I actually have a dev shell, and I actually don't have Dune installed globally. which is the OCaml build tool, I actually only have it installed through my Nix Flake. And so now I have a shell that has all of the versions of the packages that I want and all of my dev tools specific to this actual project. So it also can help a lot in that perspective. Even if you didn't use Nix to build, you could use Nix to bring in the right version of everything that you need in order to build. And you could have it, work with durenv. It's almost automatically. So no, that's out of the box too. Yeah. I have basically no Starship config. I can't remember what it is right now, but it's very low. Let's see. Is it in config? I think. Yeah. That's my Starship config. Is that I don't care about AWS when I'm in Starship. Yeah. So I just use everything out of the box, and it's been great so far. Even on my old hardware. Okay, so we did this. We didn't actually open this PR. We were just reading it. This looks great. And here we go. I like more lion-esque today. It was probably because I took a shower right before streaming. And so my hair's not up, and it's also poofier since I just showered, all that stuff. Okay, so we opened that PR. So our contrib guide is done. Let's see where we're at. We did this. And this doesn't, oh wait, that's not a PR open. I actually already did that. But this is a PR open. Riot, update contributing guide with example leak. Okay, and I'll just delete that once that PR is actually merged. And I think that's pretty good. That's mostly what I wanted to actually do today. I think we might end it there, guys. I know it was short. It's longer than I thought I was going to get to stream. Now that Whimsically's here, we're going to go. Just kidding. Now that actually most people are here. I had like 4 people most of the stream for some reason, which I appreciate, all 4 people. Or it's just Twitch's viewer stats really suck, which is also the case. That also happens a lot. I'll be like, oh, there's 2 people watching, and then it will randomly jump to like 15, and I'll be like, I have a feeling that didn't just happen. Like, I don't think 13 people just came in at the same time. The first hour often sucks. It's true. I don't really care anymore. I used to care. Yeah. I mean, yeah. We've built a nice little group here. We don't usually hit big numbers. We're usually between 10 and 20 or so. For the most part. Sometimes, and then random days it'll jump up to like 35. Just randomly. I will admit, I think I probably have less. Let's see. YouTube doesn't need to hear all this. This is Twitch business, okay? If you want to hear this, you got to be on Twitch. All right. I'm just kidding. Okay, thanks for watching. See you, YouTube.